bothers me is just the fact it didn't get to you. That something in the FBI stopped those two important pieces of information, one from different parts of the country, from rising to the kind of level where you might have seen them and might have acted on them.
Governor, in defense of the employees there, they were getting, one of the unit chiefs, at least 100 pieces of information a day. They were getting fed from a fire hydrant and trying to sort through those things. I spoke recently with the individual who was in charge of the Minneapolis office, and he said, I asked him, I said, why didn't you call me? I said, you know me. I send once a year out an email to all FBI employees to tell them to come to me with any issue that you have, whether it's investigative, administrative, your pay, or some other problem. And I heard frequently from individuals who said, I can't get a Group 1 undercover operation through, or I'm not getting my annual leave corrected, or whatever it might be. And my secretary used to kid me about it because she'd print it out each night and say, here's your homework, do it tonight and bring it back tomorrow morning, because I don't type. Those things bothered me, but those employees working down in the counterterrorism division were working very hard. They were trying to do the best they could with the hundreds of pieces of information they could. And as we sit here with 20/20 hindsight, picking out 3 or 4 pieces of information, I think is a disservice to them to recognize what pieces in light of 9/11 were relevant.
Mid-1990s, CIA counterterrorism officials recognized the unilateral CIA operations alone were not sufficient in penetrating and countering terrorist organizations. For instance, difficulties in unilaterally penetrating extremist groups necessitated increased cooperation with liaison services, according to a former CTC chief. To this end, CIA, NSA, and other intelligence community agencies strengthened their liaison relationships with existing partners and forged new relationships to fight al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. Throughout the 1990s, the FBI also greatly expanded its efforts to work with foreign governments against terrorism. Former FBI Director Louis Freeh testified that he met with dozens of foreign leaders to build a global counterterrorism network and greatly expand the Bureau's presence overseas through its legal attaché program. As of September 11, 2001, the FBI had agents assigned to 44 U.S. embassies. As Mr. Freeh explained, the FBI began to position itself around the globe in places that matter in the fight against terrorism, particularly in the Middle East, as legats were assigned to Cairo, Islamabad, Tel Aviv, Ankara, Riyadh, and other sites. As a result, he added, the FBI was often able to expedite access to witnesses and create additional channels for information about terrorism. Liaison relationships within a country often vary by agency. For existence, interviews the joint inquiry conducted in redacted. Arrangements also vary by location. For example, FBI legats often established relationships with liaison services in Europe. They often coordinate efforts to CIA in certain countries of counterterrorism interest. The struggle against al-Qaeda led U.S. intelligence agencies to work closely with liaison services, and they were not major partners during the Cold War. The joint inquiry received testimony and responses from U.S. government officials that several foreign liaison services deserved praise for their assistance to the United States. In the developing world, many liaison services are limited in resources, training. According to CIA officers in the U.S., may be able to augment their capabilities greatly. According to joint inquiry interviews, for example, the United States helped pay for and train the blank to the point that the blank requires personnel to take several CIA courses in order to rise above the rank of major. The CIA support has improved capabilities and has led to several joint efforts against terrorism, according to the chief of the CIA's Near East Division. The CIA also developed a program that CIA personnel told the joint inquiry makes liaison services better able and more willing to pursue terrorist groups.